From Panic to Empowerment, How to Stop Pain and Disease from Taking Over Your Life by Connecting Spirit, Mind, and Body by Dr. Stephanie Reid. Chapter 2. The name of the game is integration. When you think about what it means to be healthy, I bet you imagine being pain-free, having high energy, and most of all, a sense of true well-being. And this feeling stems from understanding and implementing a regimen that leads to complete wellness. Now that sounds good, right? But it probably is not the case for you, at least not right now, at this moment. That is the main reason why you have this book in your hand. You want something better. Whether you have minor headaches or chronic disease, the same idea applies. You want a new reality. You have probably already tried many things and even achieved a level of relief only for your symptoms to return. Sometimes symptoms return in a gentle whisper, gradually increasing in intensity. Or they return like a freight train knocking you out for the count. You gasp, well, damn, I didn't see that coming. Life is like that. Oftentimes it may feel like things are happening to you, and you are just a bystander instead of a creator of your circumstances. When that happens, you panic, wondering, what the heck is happening to me? We're not actively participating in our own lives and really making proactive choices. We fall prey to the status quo. We vicariously live through the decisions of others, gliding on the wind of another sail, so to speak. And although we sometimes wake up just in time to change course, oftentimes we wake up in the middle of a nightmare, frantically scrambling for the nearest exit. Once you realize it's time to do something different, you have to be sure you have the best information to pick the right exit for your circumstance. That, my friend, is empowerment. Empowerment is when you leap into your bliss and having all the right equipment to do it, no matter what it looks like to anyone else. So what does it mean to jump into your bliss? Well, bliss means extreme happiness, among other things, depending on the context of thought you are trying to convey. Here, the main thought is happiness. When you are courageous enough to make decisions that are right for you, even when others think you're crazy, that's happiness. Bliss. Being able to make your own decisions is extremely liberating, even if the result does not turn out exactly as you hoped. At least it is your decision, and you can feel good about taking a stand. When you allow someone else to make decisions for you, you have someone to blame if things don't work out. Blame is self-defeating and adds more fuel to the fire of disease. Finding your own bliss, on the other hand, gives you power and lifts your spirit so high that the downwind of negative energy barely has the power to impact you at all. Now that's bliss. To follow your bliss requires courage and needs a plan. I'm sharing this with you early in the book because this courage will be the same energy needed to discard ideas that have kept you unwell. You see, wellness is not something that you can touch as a table or a chair. It's an intangible energy that drives you forward, while illness and disease will pull you into a cocoon. And even though you may not like it, you remain there because it's familiar. After reading this book, not only will you be able to embrace your bliss, you will be able to help others find theirs. Learning the 3 R's approach to healing technique is easy. Its application is practical and can be used in a few seconds. Mastering the technique will give you your power back to harness your bliss to heal spirit, mind, and body. So now it's about feeling good. When you feel good physically, everything seems to be in place. Your spirit is high, you're thinking good thoughts, and everything is right with the world. Yet when you feel bad with the pain, anxiety, and disease, you rarely trace the same thought back to your spirit, mind, body connection. Instead, you compartmentalize yourself and only deal with what you know. Let me explain. If your foot hurts, your foot hurts. How do I fix my foot? Your foot becomes your only focus. Fixing your foot becomes the dominant thought. If you just stubbed your toe, that's one thing. But what if the pain is chronic? The chronic condition, the foot pain, as our example, can stem from a complication of diabetes, nerve damage, or arthritis. But all you can identify is foot pain. So you invest more energy in dealing with what? Foot pain. The wheel keeps turning. Some resolve happens, but the pain continues until you say to yourself, there's got to be something else. There is something else. It's the holistic approach, the alternative healing stuff you've heard about. It's the spirit, mind, and body connection thing, right? Right. Yes, the alternatives are there. But be honest, do you really want to feel good, or are you just saying it to get along? Follow this train of thought, will you? When we aren't feeling good, we downplay it. We dismiss it, and we may even ignore it. Worst of the worst, we swallow our pain and discomfort as if it represents a badge of honor. We may even become a martyr, suffering to make others' life easy. So we lie to others and to ourselves about what's really going on. But by the time the cat hits the fan, we are in full-blown crisis, cancer, heart attack, stroke, dead. Case study. There was a sweet young woman that I knew for many years. Her life was filled with tragedy and trauma. Due to her father's indiscretions, her mother left them. The girl was very giving and supportive to all of her family and friends. She occasionally mentioned that she felt abandoned and alone. She would open up a bit to allow her deepest hurt to show, but would quickly dismiss her feelings. During one of our chats, she recants a time that she felt the most alone when her father was murdered. Her mother had already left, and she felt there was no one in the world to care for her. As she opens her heart and tells her story, she shares that she never really felt loved, but she knew that no matter what, God would take care of her. After many years of getting to know this young woman, she confided in me that she was stricken with breast cancer. Her strain of cancer was very aggressive, and it moved through her body like a brush fire in a dry forest with 50 miles per hour winds. As her cancer spread from her breast to her lungs, she suffered from pain all over her body. She continued to give to others even when she could no longer speak, and in doing so, she did not accept the help that she advocated for others. Even during cancer treatments in Mexico, she continued to be a support system for others. During her last days, she continuously suffered and finally gave herself permission to say, I need help now. Take me to the hospital. As she took her last breath, she suffered from severe anxiety and despair. It was as if she was fighting death and was afraid to embrace the peace of being pain-free. When we are used to suffering, we don't always see the escape hatch that God has placed in front of us, whether in the form of pain management or around-the-clock care. If we don't feel worthy, the unworthiness, which is a learned behavior, if not dissected and put in its place, will dictate our life's choices even in our last days. As I think about the young woman, I am still perplexed as to why she did not fight for herself as hard as she fought for others. She didn't give herself permission to be taken care of by hospice, nurses, or healthcare providers until she could no longer stand the excruciating pain in her emaciated, frail frame. She suffered in the name of, it's not that bad. I'll beat this. God has a plan for me. I'll get better. I wonder if, on a subconscious level, whether she ever felt worthy of the care that was required to maintain her very life. She had given so much to others from an empty vessel. Maybe she did so in hopes that someone would give it back. I pray for that young woman daily. Why does this happen? I really don't know, but I can speculate that these are subconscious cues playing themselves out from the stories we've told ourselves about our past. Psychologists say that between birth to age 7, children are highly impressionable. Whatever mess they are exposed to is ingrained in their minds and is displayed in their behavior. Another scenario. So let's say you saw your parents argue, and it frightened you. The loud voices may have sparked a sense of fear in you so great that every time you hear people even speaking loudly, your heart races. Now, the story you must have told yourself was, since my parents are loud, they must not like each other. And if they don't like each other, and they made me, they must not like me either. So what do? You avoid verbal confrontation for fear of it meaning you are not liked. As a result, you learn to swallow your anger, frustrations, and fear. You don't let them out. Eventually, they manifest into aches and pains in the stomach, then ulcers, then colitis, then colon cancer, then, well, All of this could have potentially been avoided if we were able to recognize that the original story you told yourself way back when does not have the same meaning in your adult life. Speaking your truth is a good thing, as long as it is done with love. You speak your truth with love by first solidifying your intent. Communicate with the intention to be understood to clarify your emotions. Then realize that whatever response you get, you don't have to own it, and it doesn't have to define you. When you don't speak your truth, the consequence is pain and disease. Why? Because everything is centered on communication, verbal and nonverbal. Being afraid to speak up leaves you vulnerable to both emotional and physical discomfort. When you can't communicate your feelings, your needs, or discomfort, they don't disappear, they get buried. Eventually, they slip out, manifesting in emotional blocks, unexplained illnesses, and strained relationships. Panic sets in, and you get swallowed up into your cocoon. About playing the game. Believe it or not, you play games with yourself when you experience disease. You create an entire conversation about what you perceive is happening. A few common phrases come to mind like, maybe if I just stop thinking about it, that horrible thing will go away. Time heals all wounds. My migraines have nothing to do with my thoughts. Or the common plot twist, you totally ignore your own issues and focus on the shortcomings of others to forget about your own. This may be a conscious thing, but you do it. We all have done it. This rarely works because after a while, the focal point of your deflection winds up becoming your own reflection, and you get slapped in the face with your own reality. Ouch. Playing these games help for a while because you give yourself some leverage, but as time passes, nothing really gets better. This is the time to get real with yourself and dig deep into the root cause of the emotion causing your disease. Whether it's foot pain or cancer, kidney failure or acne, there is a way to true healing, and the way is by cutting through emotional disillusionment. Case study. A few years ago, I had the pleasure of meeting a middle-aged man trying to get help for his wife. She was suffering from what he thought was a heart problem. Since she was very secretive, he wasn't sure what was going on, but he knew something was up. He would snoop when she was on the phone with her cardiologist. He came to see me because he just wanted his wife to be healthy and requested that I do the naturopathic workup. At the time, it included the nano SRT stress reduction therapy scan and laser treatment. Also, hair would be sent to the lab to be determined if any mineral imbalances were contributing to her disease. As I observed the husband, I noticed he had a very controlling demeanor, and it quickly became clear that his desire for his wife to see me was more about deflecting his own personal issues than helping her. It was as if he was using his appearance of concern as a way to control the parts of his wife he apparently didn't feel he had access to. When his wife expressed her displeasure with him treating her openly disrespectful, he would become childlike, as if he was the wounded party. Now, in observing this man further, I also noticed that the very same thing that agitated him about his wife was the same behavior he displayed. Now, watching this couple interact was quite an experience for me because I knew they had no idea what I was witnessing. The way they danced around each other's comments with clever comebacks and snide remarks was amazing. They had mastered their game and played it well. Yet both of them seemed to tolerate their relationship, not thrive on it. The game is easy because everyone else plays it with us. By default, that thought process Nobody wants to hear my story anyway. That may be true. Yet at some point, you have to realize that it's the story that is creating the disease. The sooner you identify it, reframe it, and really look at the impact of the belief system that fed it, the sooner you can be empowered. I actually heard a high C note as I typed, empowered. So, say it out loud, empowered. Wow, that sounded and felt good. Feel the energy that comes with it. Words have power. In this case study, the husband learned to get his way with people by manipulating them into giving him what he wanted by acting childlike. His strange behavior would be seen as irritating to the victim of his antics, but it became an effective method of controlling situations that he felt locked out of. His most used phrase, "I'm okay. I just want her to be okay because I know she has a problem that she's not telling me about." As you learn truths about your belief system that have been holding you back, you can see that you have been accepting things as they are, living life unfulfilled, slowly backing in to that safe yet dangerous cocoon. The cocoon. I thought it may be a good idea to touch on the idea of a cocoon. The formal definition is concerned with the larvae of insects, butterfly, moth, or spider eggs. Here, the definition fits more closely with the verb application, and I'm using it to give imagery for how we close ourselves off in a protective stance, not letting our emotions out or healing in. Shutting down is a way we play games with ourselves, yet this game is more subconscious. You see, if you're going to truly heal the spirit, mind, and body, you must acknowledge when you are shutting your spirits down. The spirit is the feeling center. Who wants to feel when all you feel is hurt? The hurt can be so darn overwhelming that you feel the only way to escape is to hide. The hiding begins gradually. Energy is zapped because of the adrenal gland, which responds to stress. The gland gets overworked, causing spikes of energy from sodium release from the adrenal cortex. If that mechanism is triggered too often, adrenal fatigue sets in. The fatigue translates into low energy, then low mood. This dance of low energy and low mood will also cause fluctuations in behavior. Soon, one finds themselves in a stress loop that creates tension in relationships, work, home, and everywhere else. These strained relationships create the need to hide. Oftentimes, a person will begin to feel like, what's the use? When you are spiritually and mentally exhausted, a physical expression will manifest itself to give you feedback on what's happening. You often only see the physical. By only seeing the physical, the symptoms really never go away. They just give rise to signals that are more pronounced. The additional alarm reactions can be stopped in their tracks if you learn for yourself that when your body has given a signal, the spirit and the mind are in crisis. Potentially, this can be a dangerous place to be for the simple fact that low energy, low mood patterns are indicative of the biochemical makeup of those who would commit suicide. Also, a person with this biochemical pattern is usually one that eats carbohydrates for energy, unable to eat proteins and fats without experiencing some form of gastrointestinal disturbance, and is under a lot of stress. The stress can be physical or emotional, and when this pattern lasts for long periods of time, exhaustion happens. At that point, no amount of sleep or vacation time can correct the level of fatigue. This experience can only be corrected with time and proper diet to ensure absorption of minerals and vitamins for the healing of the energy system on a cellular level. This process takes time. Additionally, if you are fatigued and you do not understand how you got there and how to get better, the hiding may turn into secret vices such as drinking or drug use to get the edge back. We live in a society where it's seen as a sign of weakness to be tired, need a break, or admit that enough is enough. We call the military veteran a hero when he or she has served several tours of battle, but we neglect to factor in the level of emotional and psychological stress they experience. Then we scorn the homeless veteran for finding a home in the gutter begging for food. Acceptance. Learning to accept the fact that you are spirit, mind, and body will change the way you heal and seek to heal. It will relieve panic and stress and help maximize the potential that once you find relief, you'll keep it. Each time you feel discomfort, you should be able to stop, to reflect the spirit on the potential origin, to reframe the mind, the meaning of the experience, to release the stress and tension that is ultimately creating the discomfort in the body. If used often, this 3-step approach will save you a lot of money seeking specialist after specialist. You will gain a sense of true empowerment when you realize that this is your life and you have complete control over your health and health care. As you discover the hidden causes, spirit, mind, and body, you will be able to make informed choices on which practitioners to seek. Taking a more active role in your life will ensure that you will decide what you allow and what you will not. You have choices, you know. Yes, please ask more questions. Take your power back. Also, you'll be able to discern whether you are willing to have your body polluted by poisonous drugs, invasive surgeries, and unnecessary diagnosis. That is what it means to be truly healthy from the inside out. Having the freedom to choose from a place of awareness of who you really are is an amazing realization. Are you only an ears, nose, and throat? No, indeed. You are a completely integrated, magnificent person, connected spirit, mind, and body. And you can be empowered here in these pages to embrace that oneness that makes it work for you, not against you. I challenge you here and now to continue reading, get more insight, anticipate your new sense of freedom. And now, a brief break.